is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are sports. We are Sun.
The Cleveland Indians have hit their stride, winning 4 straight and taking over first place in the AL Central. Tonight, the Tribe sends former Cy Young Award winner Corey Kluber to the hill, while the Rays counter with lefty phenom Blake Snell in search of his first big league win. Tonight we greet you from the shores of Lake Erie in Cleveland, Ohio, where the Rays and the Indians continue their 3-game series. Tonight, game 2. It has been an absolutely gorgeous day in Cleveland. Temperature 79 degrees, and we welcome you to another evening of Rays baseball with Brian Anderson, Dwayne Stats. Great to have you aboard. Well, a great pitching matchup tonight. Corey Kluber on the hill. The Rays beat him down in Tropicana Field earlier this year in April. And the phenom, the lefty on the hill for the Rays.
Yeah, and Corey Kluber, the Rays were able to take advantage of one misplaced fastball to Logan Forsythe, and that ball game took him out of the yard. And by the way, he's got very good numbers against the Rays, and a big reason why he's kept the ball in the yard. You look at the record 2-2, but the ERA 2.75, a very good opponent's average. And in 39 and a third innings against the Rays, he's given up just 2 home runs. That is the key for Corey Kluber. Very good stuff. Keep the ball in the yard. For Blake Snell, his first 2 starts this year for the Rays, 1 up, 1 down. But the one thing that you can say about Blake is the stuff is there. He's got an explosive jumping fastball, a curveball that's of the slower variety, but it's got very good depth, a slider, and a changeup. The key for Blake, both in the strike zone and upstairs, stay in command. If he does that, he'll put together a nice out.
In his first outing against the Yankees, we saw the curveball complement the fastball more. Last time out, the slider a bit more than the curveball. If you took a look at the Rays roster right now, it would have a giant Band-Aid on it. The Rays have 9, count them, 9 men out on the disabled list. Todd Callis looks into all of that misery when we come back.
night tonight at Progressive Field in Cleveland, Ohio, where the Rays take on the Indians in the middle game of this 3-game series. Rays were happy first 40 days of the season. They didn't use the DL at all for the first 40 games. Now, in the last 37 days, they have used it 8 different times. That's right, 1/3 of the roster has gone on the disabled list in the last 5 weeks and 2 days. Yesterday, it was 2 guys, both Mikey Matuk with a fractured left hand and Steve Pearce with the strained right hamstring going on the DL. The Rays bring up an extra arm, Ryan Garten. He'll arrive sometime around 8:30 or 9 o'clock tonight. And then you also have the addition of Nick Franklin, who can play on the infield for the Rays. Here is Kevin Cash with the slew of injuries.
We got some key guys that are on the DL right now. So we'll continue to try to find a way to piece it together. And you know, what he was doing, the type of at-bats he was providing for us, they're going to be missed. But it opens an opportunity for somebody to get in there and you know, get a chance to help us win ball games.
So tonight they will turn to the young left-hander, Blake Snell, making his 3rd major league start. He'll be opposed by the Indians' Corey Kluber. We are ready for baseball in less than 3.5 minutes. From Cleveland, Ohio, Dwayne Statz and Brian Anderson will have all the action on Fox Sports Sun.
From Progressive Field, the Rays will be going up against Corey Kluber tonight, making his 15th start. And here is the lineup presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Logan Forsythe to lead it off, followed by Brad Miller and Evan Longoria. Logan Morrison hits cleanup. Desmond Jennings up in the number 5 spot in front of Corey Dickerson. Taylor Motter will hit 7th, Jeff Decker 8th, and Hank Conger doing the catching bats 9th.
Well, and for Corey Kluber, it's been an up and down year, but he's the type of guy and has the type of stuff and pedigree that you know on any given night he can go out and dominate, so you had better be ready to go. Let's take a look at that Cleveland Indian defense and see how it's going to line up here tonight. Brought to you by Gold and Diamond Source. In that outfield left to right, we have Jose Ramirez, Tyler Naquin, and Lonnie Chisenhall. Across the infield, third to first, Juan Uribe, Francisco Lindor, Jason Kipnis, Mike Napoli with Yan Gomes behind the plate.
Well, here's Logan Forsythe getting set to face Kluber. He's making his 7th start against the Rays, 2-2 with a 2.75 ERA. And the Rays scored 3 of the 5 runs off him at Tropicana Field back in April when they won that game. First pitch of this one is too high, so we're underway. A fastball upstairs, 1 ball, no strikes. Logan hitting .301 and 1 now. Logan 3 of 12 with a career home run against Kluber.
That was the difference maker in that game earlier in April when they were able to beat Corey Kluber. Dead center field.
2-1.
This is that pitch, Dwayne, where we were saying, you know what, you go with that cutter until he finally commits to it. And in a 3-2 count, he came with a traditional fastball, and Logan crushed it.
Logan fouls that one away.
And by the way, the starting time tonight, not favoring the hitters right off the bat. Got some shadows working already. Shouldn't be last too long, though.
And strike 3 called. The fastball taken. 1 away.
Did you see the way that the fastball came back? You know, with Corey Kluber, the first time with the Rays earlier this season was so heavy on the cutter. And I think that's what Logan got caught looking for right there, and that thing came back. You see it out of the hand, and you think, okay, cutter, it's going to cut off the plate, I'm going to take it. Wasn't the cutter. It was the 2-seamer, and it comes back over the edge.
It's a line from that game at the Trop. 3 runs, 4 hits. Brad Miller taps it out in front of the plate. Kluber off the hill, and the throw to first. Boy, that turned out to be a more difficult play, and difficult for Napoli, who was having a little trouble tracking that ball. You know, Corey Kluber did not exactly pop off the mound with a lot of urgency, and then he's going to throw a sidearm 2-seamer. I mean, that thing's running back into the line, and Mike Napoli is looking where the sun is coming in. You see that sun glare right there, even on the camera. A very difficult play. Strikeout and a ground out. 2 up, 2 down. In tonight's Buick GMC big matchup, Evan Longoria, 6 of 16 with a home run among the 6 hits. And he chops it towards short. Lindor charges, fields a high throw, but Napoli gets the tag, and the Rays are out 1-2-3. Bottom of the first coming. We have no score. Blake Snell on the hill for the Rays. Here's the lineup he'll be facing, presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Carlos Santana, the DH, will lead off, followed by Jason Kipnis and Francisco Lindor. Mike Napoli, the cleanup man. Behind him, Jose Ramirez and Jose Uribe. Lonnie Chisenhall hits 7th. Yan Gomes, the catcher, bats 8th. And Tyler Naquin is in center field hitting 9th.
Oh, and Blake Snell looking for a little of a bounce back outing here tonight. Last start against the Seattle Mariners, he went 3 1/3 innings, gave up 8 hits and 5 runs. Now, only one of those runs were earned. Didn't have a whole lot of help defensively, but certainly looking for a better performance here tonight.
So here's Santana. The pitch is a strike, a fastball to start this outing from Blake Snell. It's upstairs, 1-1. Snell, the second shortest start by a Rays pitcher this year, at 3 1/3, his last time out against Seattle. It's a little close right there. Santana leaning back, and it's 2-1. Chris Archer pitched a 3-inning start against Detroit back in May on the road. Seattle had 11 base runners in 3 1/3 against Snell. And now he's behind 3-1 on Santana.
Well, and Carlos Santana, one of those hitters that's going to make you work. Interesting that Terry Francona would put him in the leadoff spot against a guy like Blake Snell, where sometimes command is an issue. And here we are, 3-1.
And a liner into left. That will hang up, and Motter is there to make the catch.
Let's take a look at that Rays defense and see how that's going to line up tonight here behind Blake Snell. Brought to you by Gold and Diamond Source. In the outfield, left to right, we have Taylor Motter, Desmond Jennings, and Jeff Decker. Across the infield, third to first, Evan Longoria, Brad Miller, Logan Forsythe, and Logan Morrison, with Hank Conger behind the plate.
Well, here's Kipnis, the second baseman. Pitch is upstairs. Jason Kipnis had a hit and a run batted in last night's game for Cleveland. One and one. Now 2-1. Two. Holds the count even.
You know how we talk about the way that Drew Smyly can manipulate the fastball down in the zone and elevate? Blake Snell does the same exact thing with more on the velocity end. You think about that tall, lanky lefty driving downhill, and then he elevates very well too, all in the mid-90s. That's what makes him very difficult to deal with when he's throwing strikes.
Cut and a foul tip strikeout off the fastball. So 2 up, 2 down.
Well, there's that elevated heater, and it's just so difficult to get to. One of those pitches that's borderline. If he takes it, maybe it's ball 4, maybe it's not. You can't take the chance. You got to pull the trigger, and you can't get it.
Francisco Lindor, the 7th leading hitter now in the American League. There's a fastball up for a strike. Lindor hitting .348 against left-handed pitching. Close there, spins him out of there. That one approaching the mid-90s.
The way that he swung the bat last night, the way that he's been swinging the bat in the month of June, why not? Make him a little bit uncomfortable, because right now he feels pretty good in the batter's box from both sides.
Two balls and a strike. So another 3-ball count. He went 3-1, got Santana on the liner to left, 3-2 to Kipnis, struck him out swinging, and now 3-1 to Lindor. And the count goes full on the Cleveland shortstop. And a liner to first, grabbed by Morrison, reaching down to his right to retire Lindor. We're going to go into the second, no score. Complicated field and at home with the Rays pennant flag presented by Fox Sports Sun. All kids 14 and under receive the pennant flag while supplies last when the Rays take on the Tigers Sunday, July 3rd. Call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com. Rays up. Logan Morrison, who caught that hot shot off the bat of Lindor to end the first, will lead off the second. Fouls that first pitch back. Morrison, nothing of 4 last night. Rays dropped that game 7-4 and were held to 5 hits, all off the starter Josh Tomlin in the 7 innings he worked.
Well, really a tale of two games. You know, the Rays jumping out early, maintaining the lead. The Indians finally catch them, a late explosion, and put the game out of reach. Very, very frustrating loss for the Rays, on top of the injuries.
Right now, the past close to a week, two teams heading in different directions. The Indians have won 4 in a row. They've won 9 straight at home. And the Rays, it seems, losing 5 in a row, lose a player every day. Losing 2, putting Mikey Matuk and Steve Pearce on the disabled list. A check, and that will take the count to a ball and 2 strikes. Lance Barksdale is calling the balls and strikes. 49 years old. Started his major league umpiring experience in 2000. It's inside, 2-2. Jennings next, and then Dickerson. Down and in. That ball gets away from Gomes. Hits throw to first. Hits Morrison, and the Rays will get a base runner. A strikeout, and as the ball got away, Morrison reaches on what will be ruled a pass ball.
No angle. There's just no angle here. Yan Gomes gets it, and as Logan Morrison gets closer and closer to the bag, there's just no angle for Yan Gomes to get the ball to Mike Napoli. You saw Mike Napoli standing off in foul territory looking for that ball wide, but it comes back into the baseline. It hits Logan Morrison, and Ray's got a base runner.
Desmond Jennings. Desmond last night picked up his first triple of the year. This one down the right side, and it's going to roll foul.
Well, I like that Desmond Jennings is starting to incorporate that more and more into his arsenal at the plate. He certainly has the speed to do it, and if you see the right side of the infield set up a certain way, go ahead and try to push that thing out there and beat it for a hit.
You know, he had a bunt hit at the end of the homestand Sunday against the Giants. The first bunt hit of the year for the Rays. Wound up with a couple hits that day. Had a triple and a single last night. Reached on an error as well. So he was on base all 3 times. Strike to count. It's 1-1. Desmond in center field. You can see how difficult that outfield situation is. On the DL, starting with Brandon Guyer, Kevin Kiermaier, Steven Souza Jr., and now Mikey Matuk. First pitch blocked by Gomes. The word on Matuk, it was not a displaced fracture, which is, if you've got to have a fracture, that's the better of the 2. Tends to heal a bit quicker.
And you avoid surgery. Typical broken bone, 4 to 8 weeks typical. But still, all of the outfielders, and seemingly all at once, or at least in a time frame where they're all overlapping. And the Rays have had to get real creative on who they're going to call up for these injuries.
There's the hit by pitch. He sustained that fractured left hand. Tried to stay in the game and realized that it wasn't getting any better.
You think about Matuk, an outfielder, Steve Pearce, you know, reserve infielder for the most part, and DH are out with injuries, and you bring up.
Runner goes, and out at second base. Jennings took ball 3, and Morrison is thrown out at second.
Well, opposing base stealers off Corey Kluber had been 4 of 5. Logan Morrison trying to catch everybody by surprise here, but Yan Gomes got rid of that ball quick, and he ends up sliding right into the tag of Jason Kipnis.
So the Rays lose the base runner. Full count on Jennings. And he's out on strikes. Kluber gets you to 2 strikes, and it's a battle.
Oh, you see the numbers against him. One of the best pitchers in the game when he gets you to 2 strikes. And a big reason why, that cutter. You know, we saw, I think, Logan Forsythe maybe looking for that cutter early in the game, takes a 2-seamer that runs back and catches the edge, but that's that pitch right there. It's got late action to it. It's not real big, and he throws it hard. He's one of the few guys that use that cutter more almost for a swing and a miss pitch than a miss the barrel of the bat pitch.
Corey Dickerson takes ball 1. Kluber coming off an outing on the road in Kansas City. He went 5 innings, gave up 8 runs on 9 hits in that game. And even a game like that, he finished with 7 strikeouts in 5 innings.
And you hate to face top-notch pitchers after an outing like that, because usually you don't get them 2 games in a row. We'll see, but that's an outing that tends to refocus you, and you are bound and determined that that will not happen the next time out, and he's got the stuff to do it.
Big right-hander out of Stetson. Born in Birmingham, Alabama, went to high school in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. There's a base hit into right field. The Rays get a base runner again. First hit, 2-out single by Dickerson. Well, Taylor Motter in the lineup in left field tonight. The Rays, with those injuries and putting Matuk and Pierce on the DL, recall Nick Franklin, who can play both on the infield and the outfield. And right-hander Ryan Garten coming back from AAA Durham. Motter rolls it foul. On top of that, some discussion about Erasmo Ramirez and how his arm is feeling. Tired would be a for sure.
Multiple innings coming out of that bullpen, a lot of use. And what it looks like when you watch him pitch, it's not like, you know, you look at the gun readings, it's more of the life. You know, the pitches don't have the same bite, the same life, the same jump, you know, as they did earlier in the season. And right now, you know, you lose just a little bit of life, a little bit of bite. Off-speed pitches not quite where you want them, and it makes it easier for the opposition.
So that's the question facing the Rays. If that's the case, do you try to give them 3-4 days, or do you think about the disabled list?
That's what's tough. You know, as much as the Rays love to use their bullpen, you know, they'd like their starters to get deeper, no question about it. But they've not proven that consistently they've been able to do that. So that bullpen is going to get used. Can you afford to have a guy out there that just isn't going to pitch for 3 or 4 days? That's the question.
Yeah, that's an issue. You know, early the starting pitching did not pitch deep enough into games to avoid the need to use that bullpen. It's a ground ball. Lindor, it's short. With the toss to Kipnis for the force at second. Rays leave one, pick up a hit, do not score. Bottom of the second coming. on $2 Kid Ticket Tuesdays, presented by Morgan Auto Group. All kids 14 and under receive $2 tickets with the purchase of a full-price paid adult ticket. Call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit raysbaseball.com/specials. Tuesday's special $2 Kid tickets. Mike Napoli will open the bottom of the second inning. Pitch is a strike. Napoli leading this team in runs batted in. 6th in the league with 49. Foul right back over the screen. 1-2. Jose Ramirez next, and then Juan Uribe will hit third in the inning. Two now. Napoli fouls that one out of play. You know, we were talking last night about Napoli and his veteran influence on this team and how important that is. He's 34 years old, and for him, it's a whole new approach for him. He suffered from sleep apnea and underwent surgery. Actually had his jaws broken and reset. And at 34, he's feeling more rested than ever because he's actually getting sleep at night. Some people get sleep or don't get sleep at night because they're busy doing other things. He wanted to get sleep at night and couldn't. Now he's sleeping well. And he draws a walk.
I am amazed at the information medically that you bring out. I mean, it is amazing. I mean, we just discussed, or you just discussed, that he had his jaws broken to be reset so that he could get sleep because he suffered from sleep apnea so badly.
Well, it was in all the fashionable periodicals.
Private medical records, you mean?
Jose Ramirez.
He probably doesn't know what to do with himself, being able to sleep like that. No doubt about it.
It was a whole new world for him. He thought feeling tired the next day was normal, and he tried to push himself through the day at times. Now he gets a good night's sleep. That's a strike, and the count is 1-1. This one lifted into right. Decker backs up and makes the catch. Will be the first out of the inning.
You know, I like the little adjustment that Blake Snell made in that at-bat. You know, he had just finished walking Napoli. He falls behind Ramirez with a fastball up and out of the zone, which is where a lot of them have been. He comes back with a really good 12-6 hook and then a changeup. Just a couple of different pitches, lower the sights a little bit, got back into the zone and picked up an out on the way.
And you know, that was the impressive thing about him in New York when he pitched against the Yankees. He had the great velocity. You're going to see all that. He had a good curveball that day and sprinkled in some change-ups. A little tap by Uribe. Back to second, a play there. Out at second, safe at first. So Snell off the mound and made that play on the lead runner at second, getting the throw back to Miller.
You know, always interested in watching a young pitcher come off the mound and throw to the bases. You know, we highlight it all the time, but nice job there by Blake, getting to that ball, spinning, putting himself in a good fielding position right here. And watch, turn, no hesitation, makes a nice strong throw right on the money to Brad Miller. You hate to highlight that play, but you see a lot of pitchers, especially younger ones, indecision, bad throws, bad footwork, not there.
Yeah, and he had some athleticism about him there. He's 6'4", you know, about what, 180, somewhere in that neighborhood, and got off the mound quickly, turned, had a good rhythm to what he did, and he got the lead man. There's a ball to Chisenhall. This one by him. 1 ball, 1 strike. Fly ball to the opposite side, and Motter's there to grab this one. Man left on base. We're through 2, no score. Today's Geico great moment. It was on this day in 1964 when Phillies right-hander Jim Bunning became the first modern pitcher to toss a no-hitter in both the American and National Leagues when he threw a perfect game for the Phillies to beat the Mets 6-0. Bunning throwing one for the Tigers and one for the Phillies. And here's Jeff Decker leading off the third. Decker, Conger, and Forsythe. 1-0. Decker 1 of 14 since coming to the club from Durham. Ball, 1 strike. Kluber was 9 and 16 last year with an earned run average just under 3.5. Made 32 starts and gave them 222 innings.
That is not him, Dwayne.
You're right about that.
I mean, unless it's pre-beard and long hair, it's an old photo.
Yeah, no, that is not him. Three and one now.
The question is, who is it?
That could be one of the young catchers in the system.
Oh.
Justin O'Connor. Well, if you don't have a picture of Jeff Decker, you get a guy with a raised cap and you put it up there.
And I'm going to tell you something. Here's what's going to happen here, Dwayne. I'm going to throw it out there right now. Because of the Rays injuries, I think we're going to see Decker play a little bit on this road trip. And I am going to call him Jaff. It's going to happen.
We'll just get it out right now.
I see it too much.
Do it now, and then you're done with it, and it'll never happen again.
I want to say, I see his name, and you just automatically, you want to go Jaff Decker.
Yep.
Even, you know?
The popper on the left side. Lindor, shallow left, takes care of that. So Jeff Decker is out. You know, the interesting thing, Decker has the beard. That picture of Justin O'Connor was clean shaven. But if you look at the Rays press guide, O'Connor has a beard. So they could have at least put the bearded picture of Justin O'Connor up there instead of the clean shaven one, if you're going to make that mistake.
That was a total botch job across the board.
It's Hank Conger taking a ball. We'll have Todd Callis get to the bottom of that. 2-0. Todd's marching to the Jumbotron room, the control room as we speak.
Hard-hitting journalism. That's what Todd Callis is all about, and this is right up his alley.
3-0 the count on Conger. Well, Todd was right on top of that. He was quick to notice. Right away he knew that it was Justin O'Connor. There is ball 4. Conger draws a walk.
Oh, they had a 4-pitch walk to the 9-hole by Kluber. These are the types of moments that you need to capitalize on. The little mistakes. You know, Blake Snell got an opportunity with what he's featuring tonight to pitch very well. Same with Corey Kluber. So you get an uncharacteristic mistake, you want to make them pay.
And here is Logan Forsythe. Top of the order. Into the dirt. Gomes keeps it out in front of the plate. Cleveland battery will have a little conversation here. Forsythe out on strikes in the first inning. And as you pointed out, Gramps looking for the cutter. And looked at the fastball. You can see the breakout there, even. 19 strikes and 19 non-strikes here. One now.
Well, you go back to the fact that he can get that fastball and that cutter to kind of play off of each other. He does a nice job of hiding the ball. You know, coming out of the glove, he really has that scarecrow type look with the arm. He keeps that ball right behind his body, and then it's right on top of you.
Just foul outside of third there. Uribe giving that one a close look at Angel Hernandez on top of that call. The Rays have had a tough time recently against this Cleveland ball club.
And the last couple of years have been ugly.
Yep, Rays did get a win in that first series of the year played between these two clubs at the Trop. Indians won 2 of 3 in that one. And Cleveland winning last night. Foul back.
And they've had their issues here.
Yes,
it was
they
a
have.
few years ago. What was it, like 16, 17 losses in a row
Yeah,
at
it was just
Jacobs
brutal.
/ Progressive Field?
You know, they went through a 12-39 stretch here, the Rays against the Indians, and had lost 18 games. You go back to, the 05 through that 2010 season. I mean, it was tough here. Two now on Logan Forsythe. Now the count goes full.
Well, they're making Corey Kluber work. That's one of the ways that you try to solve him. Make him work. A lot of pitches. Another good at bat here by a Rays hitter.
And it's cut and a miss. Out number 2.
Yeah, and then he comes back and makes a pitch like that. Not only that fastball with a little bit of arm side run, but then he gets it up in the zone and with enough velocity that he's able to get it over the bat of Logan Forsythe.
Here's the other thing about the Rays this year. They're 1-3 against the Indians right now, and they have been shut out in 31 of 37 plus innings now in the season series.
Now, the Indian starters have had the Rays number. You talked about the numbers since 14. Remember last year was that 4-game series where the Indians had 3 pitchers back-to-back-to-back nights that had a perfect game through 5 innings at minimum. Just dominant starting pitching. Kluber, you think about Carlos Carrasco, Danny Salazar.
Miller lifting a fly ball into left. Ramirez circles in now and makes the catch. Rays going to walk, leave a man. Bottom of the 3rd coming, no score. By Dodge. Visit Dodge.com today. By Furman, the Bay Area's first name in Chevrolet. By Bright House Networks. And by Toyota. Let's go places. Progressive Field in Cleveland, bottom of the third coming up, no score. Yan Gomes, the catcher, hitting 8th, leads off against Blake Snell. Ball 1. Snell made 12 starts at Durham. Was 3-5 with a 3.29 earned run average there. Had 90 strikeouts in 63 innings at AAA. Base hit, that's going to drop into shallow right. Couple of hops to Decker. So Gomes is aboard with a leadoff single in the third. We'll check in with Todd Callis right now. Todd?
All right, Dwayne, with the injuries to the Rays that we've been talking about, kind of a different outfield rotation. Tonight you see Taylor Motter out here in left field. You're going to see a lot more of Motter play in the outfield now. The 3 guys out there tonight, Desmond Jennings, also Jeff Decker and Motter, along with Corey Dickerson, will be the outfield, because now with Nick Franklin and Tim Beckham, they have coverage in the middle infield. The Rays could still add an extra player, though, when they go to 26 players for that day-night doubleheader. We'll see what happens then. By the way, guys, I am efforting to get the Jeff Decker picture changed for his next AB on this big board, which is 59 by 221. 13,000 square feet of high-def footage. So we're going to get it right for Jeff.
All right, we're counting on you. And you're right, that's a great board here. Number one, this is just a great ballpark. Love this ballpark here in Cleveland. Want to know the count here to Naquin. And now he bunts first base side. Morrison gets the tag on him, and up to second goes Gomes.
You can see Naquin, the way that he got out of the box and got up the line. I mean, Logan Morrison, you've got to field that clean and get that tag on him. You know, that's one of those plays that a guy will go for a bunt like this, and right here you're thinking, if I get it in the right spot, it could be a hit. And even if I don't, I've done a job, and I've gotten a man into scoring position here with just 1 out.
I tell you, Naquin has done a great job here getting an opportunity and has really made the most of it. 25-year-old outfielder. He moves Gomes up to second. Carlos Santana. It's a good stop by Conger. So for the first time in this game for either club, the Indians have a man as far as second base. Back to the mound. Snell with that look back to second base. Kept Gomes there and made the play at first.
Even reset himself before he threw to first. You know, you get up on Blake Snell and realize how tall and lanky he is. And this chopper right here, not going to get over his head. And Yan Gomes reads it right. And then Blake Snell, good downhill fastball to Logan Morrison. Looking back, reset yourself. A little low. It's an out.
Jason Kipnis.
That's dirty. I mean, that curveball is dirty. He throws it tight, but he keeps it keeps the speed down. I mean, 74, 75, and a ton of depth. You think about, you envision that curveball, you say, what could you possibly do to that besides ground out or swing and miss?
Well, that's one of the things that was so impressive about him when he pitched against the Yankees. Really great curveball that day.
And when he executes it, there's just so much downhill movement, tight spin. Very difficult to be able to drive that pitch.
Lifted the other way, headed for the stands. Motter gives it a chase toward the corner, but out of reach. Snell giving up the leadoff base hit, dropped into right by Gomes. He's at second with 2 outs. And Snell is ahead of Kipnis, 1 and 2. Liner into center field, going to drop for a base hit, and a big hop over Jennings' head. He's going to have to run it down all the way to the 400-foot marker, and Kipnis is going to be waved around, headed to the plate, and the throw is not going to be in time. And the Indians scored 2 on that line drive to center field.
Well, it starts off with a Blake Snell curveball that stayed up in the zone. Line drive here, and look at that hop right there. Comes up on Desmond. I don't think he had any idea that that ball was going to bounce up like it did. And then once it got off the glove, now it's a race. Jason Kipnis, Desmond Jennings to the baseball. No slow up in Kipnis, and he gets home. That's a run you cannot give the Indians that run. Not now.
Now Lindor lifts a fly ball to right center. Decker's there to make the catch. And Lindor is out number 3, but not before the Indians scored 2. 2-0 Cleveland. Bottom of the 3rd inning. It's going to be a base hit for Kipnis and a 3-base error. There was no let up in Kipnis and a difference in speed. Jennings had to go to the wall after that one, and Kipnis is running full bore the entire time, and he just beats the play. He out-hustled the Rays.
You needed to see more of a sense of urgency with Desmond going back for that ball to the center field wall. You do that, you've got a chance to get him. But if it's a controlled run and the other guy is going full bore, you're not going to get him, and he didn't.
So it's a base hit, a run batted in, and a 3-base error on Jennings. The Rays are down by 2 instead of 1. And Longoria takes this pitch up. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Longoria, Morrison, and Jennings due up.
You know, we talked earlier about taking advantage of mistakes, take advantage of opportunities. That's what the Indians did there. Should have had 1 run. You know, that was a hanging curveball by Blake Snell relative to the other ones that we've seen in the game. That one hung up in the zone. It gave Kipnis a chance. He singled to center. More than likely, that's a 1-run Indians lead. Cannot be a 2-run Indian lead.
And strike 3 call there. Longoria caught looking.
I don't think he liked that call at all by Lance Barksdale. A breaking ball that kind of hung up, stayed up and in. One of those backup breaking balls. take a look at it. Never really had a lot of bite to it.
Yeah, and borderline at best.
You know, that's one of those balls that if it's a fastball right there, you can understand. But a breaking ball that's that bad,
Yep.
that's that borderline, you usually don't get that call.
Pitch is up. But, you know, there is a school of thought, we've talked about it before, where umpires almost naturally call more ball strikes than the other way around. And that was a case, I think, where that happened. We've seen plenty of umpires not call that pitch a strike. Then you could argue that it had part of the box there, which technically, if you're going to argue from that point of view, technically it's a strike. But most of the time, I think it'd be difficult to get most umpires to call that a strike. Morrison out on that ground ball to first. 2 up, 2 down.
You know, really, it comes down to executing the pitch. And if Corey Kluber tries to go in with a fastball on Evan Longoria and he gets it to that spot, well, he tried to come in with a fastball. He got it there. It's borderline. Maybe the call goes his way. Maybe it doesn't. But the breaking ball, he's trying to go down and away. And it just spins out, doesn't do much of anything. It hangs out up and in. No execution on that pitch, and typically no strike call to go along with it, especially against a guy like Longoria. Maybe a rookie, you get that call. An established hitter, not often.
Desmond Jennings with a count of 1-0. Pitch just wide. A 2-0 count. Three and nothing. Rays left a man on in the second. They left a man on in the third. (3-1) right now. Five strikeouts in this game for Kluber. Jennings pops it foul. Gomes after it. Will he have room? He runs into the screen and it is out of his reach. Kluber challenging the screen in front of the seating adjacent to the dugout. He's got a runner on a pass ball on a strikeout. Got a base hit from Dickerson. And a walk to Conger. Broken bat. The ground ball to short. Barreled into the bat. Winds up in that direction as well. 3 up, 3 down. Go the Rays. They're through 3.5. It's 2-0 Cleveland. Kona, our Toyota inside look. And boy, the Indians happy to have him here. After all that went on in Boston, he is happy and secure here in Cleveland. And you can see all that he has accomplished. 2 World Series titles in Boston. Manager of the year in 13. Came over here in 13, won 92 games, 92 and 70 with the Indians that year.
Brings instant credibility. You know, brings that hammer of, walks into a new clubhouse with new players. Oh, this is Terry Francona coming from Boston, battle-tested, champion, manager of the year. Better listen up, boys. He knows what he's doing, and he knows what we need to do to get where we want to go. And then sprinkling a Napoli here, Kipnis there.
2-0 the count to Napoli. There's the strike, 1-1. Cleveland up by a full game on Kansas City in the Central right now. 2-2. And they've done that without, as we mentioned last night, Michael Brantley. Been just a handful of games. They've had some people pick up the slack. Rajai Davis, one of them.
I should have mentioned him too. Another guy.
Yep.
Veteran. That's right.
3-2. There's Davis.
How about the fact that he is not in the lineup and he has both batting gloves on?
He's ready. I mean, you're ready in case anything breaks out. He's ready.
that fits right in with his profile.
Yes, it does. Liner into center. That's going to fall in front of Jennings for a base hit. Napoli on for the second time. Indians with 3 hits. And for the 3rd straight inning, they put the leadoff man on base. It's Jose Ramirez. Upstairs. Miss. Conger's going to head to the mound. 1 on, nobody out. 2-0 the count to the hitter.
Well, the fastball command from Blake Snell's been a little inconsistent. We've seen a lot of those pitches stay up, trying to make the adjustment with that last one, but left it off the plate. And really, he's used the off speed to get back into these types of counts. That's been able to save him, help him out a little bit.
There's a strike.
There was the changeup, and we've seen it time and again. Fall behind 1-0, 2-0 with a couple of heaters that were misplaced. Come back with a curveball or a changeup to get going again.
Cut the miss on that one.
Yeah, that was probably the best changeup of the night. Great arm action, great downhill action. Very effective and well placed.
This is low, ball popping away. And alertly, Napoli moves up. Napoli starting to extend that lead, moving in the right direction.
Yeah, and that pitch wasn't really even that bad. That's just a great read by Napoli. You see a lot of guys on that one be much more undecided. And stay. Ooh.
Oh, look at that one. What a hook that was, 3-2.
That at-bat right there was all about the off-speed. 2 heaters out of the zone, 3 straight change-ups, and then a hook. See you later. I mean, look at the depth. You know, again, tall, lanky, and he comes from right over the top, so he creates his own angles.
You know, Napoli at second, rewarded with a stolen base on what really was a secondary lead and moving in the right direction. And the ball, as you pointed out, didn't bounce away that far.
And you know, initially it didn't even look like it bounced. It just looked like a ball that was down that went off the glove of Hank Conger. His secondary lead and his read was so good, he was gifted a stolen base.
Yep. The right side cued beyond Sandy Alomar Jr. The count to Juan Uribe is a ball and a strike. Uribe hit a long home run in the 8th inning last night to center field. Ground ball. Longoria to his left makes a nice play and throws out Uribe. Napoli remains at second on the ground ball to the left side. He's there with 2 away. Lonnie Chisenhall on his way to the plate. There's a strike on the breaking ball to Chisenhall. Fastball in the mid-90s as Snell has hit 60 pitches here. 2 outs into the 4th. And a base hit into left. Motter will have to cameo scoop. The throw headed to the plate, and he is safe. The call. Napoli went to the inside of the plate. A base hit the other way for Chisenhall, driving in the run to make it 3-0.
And he made himself small, Dwayne. You're right. The read of Hank Conger going wide, he cuts back to the inside, and then watch how he flattens himself out and makes himself a small target. You go way low and way inside, and you make it very hard for Hank Conger to get to you, and he's able to get the foot in there on home plate. That's just a great job right there. Make yourself small and hard to tag. And it all starts with that read. Conger goes wide, you cut inside, and then flatten yourself out.
Well, it appears the Rays want to have this play examined. So Ted Barrett and Lance Barksdale. Barksdale making the call at the plate. Will don the headsets.
Well, Motter, you know, he did bust it to get to that ball. Just a little flip out there by Chisenhall. And Motter comes up and he's gunning low. And are they saying, well, who knows what they're saying, but I guess we'll find out soon enough.
You see Conger with the lunging tag. And Napoli going to the inside of the plate, to the infield side. And remember, as we always discuss, you're looking for something clear and convincing, then to overturn the call.
Yep. I think the only thing the Rays could be thinking is that tag was trying to be applied by Conger. Initially, the leg by Napoli looks like it's almost just on the outskirts of home plate as the leg starts to bend, like it's not fully on the plate yet before it slides across. I mean, we'll see.
Well, let's take another look at this one.
Yeah, watch that right leg. Does it get to home plate before the tag? See how it kind of just dances around it? You know, just kind of sliding around the edge. Is it clear and convincing, though? Did Conger actually get him up there? I don't have HD up here, Dwayne. I don't know.
And even with HD, tough to tell. Well, that's a high threshold to get. And he's going to be out at the plate. And
wow.
the Rays challenge and get the call overturned. How about that? So Conger with that diving, lunging tag apparently got Napoli, and the Rays get the call overturned, and that takes a run off the board. 2-0 Cleveland. Get that run taken off the board. I'll tell you, you've got to give Motter some credit too, because he did bust it to get to that ball and make a play at the plate. And it was extremely close. Initially called safe. The Rays prevail on the challenge. And here's Dickerson to lead off the fifth. Boy, you get a guy like Kluber out there on the mound, you get him pitching as well as he can. A big difference that extra run can make. 2-0 bad enough, 3-0 another story.
It does start to get big, doesn't it? I mean, you're still in bloop and a blast range.
Yep.
We know that the Rays can pop them out of the yard with the best of them.
Broken bat, a little popper, one hop. Kipnis at second makes the play.
Corey Kluber's doing some damage here to the Rays sticks. Last couple of hitters. pieces.
Yeah, Jennings' bat blew up in the 4th inning on the ground ball to Lindor, and a broken bat here with Dickerson leading off the top half of the 5th. It'll be Taylor Motter. Motter 0 for 1, a couple of home runs on the year. Ground ball shortstop. Lindor makes that play easily. Well, he has staked out shortstop here in Cleveland. That's for sure.
Now, he got to the big leagues last year in the middle of June. He's been up about a full year, a little over 650 at bats. He's a .313 hitter from both sides of the plate. 20 home runs in that span. Ridiculous defense. Hello.
And Jeff Decker will be the hitter, and they have him up there on the big board.
Todd Callis.
Callis prevails again. He could get things done. Want to know the count here to Decker?
You know what? If I ever ran, Dwayne, he would be my running mate.
Oh,
hands down.
No question.
I'll throw it out there right now.
1-1. Well, he could be at the top of the ticket, or he could be the guy not even on the ticket who got things done. You need one of those guys.
I'd like him out kissing babies and shaking hands.
He's a natural.
Yeah.
Yep. Ground ball right side. Kipnis with the pickup and the toss. 3 ground balls and a quick inning for Kluber. We're through 4.5. 2-0 Cleveland. Celebrate the red, white, and blue at the Coke Zero 400 for your chance to win 4 tickets. Tweet the number of laps in the Coke Zero 400 at hashtag race to July and hashtag sponsored to at Fox Sports FL. Head to foxsportsflorida.com for more info. There's Yan Gomes. Takes it to right near the line. That could be trouble if it's fair. And it is a fair ball bounding into the stands for a bloop double up the right field side.
You know, that giving up the bloop hits is always frustrating for a pitcher. Giving up a bloop like that, just a little fillet shot for a double, a leadoff double, runner in scoring position, can't afford to give up any more runs. And look where this thing drops. 2 inches, 3 inches fair.
And just like that, the Indians have a man at second base with nobody out. Well, here's Tyler Naquin. And he shortens on the bat. Takes the pitch for a ball. We mentioned Naquin put down the bunt his first time. The nice job he's done. Young outfielder out of Texas A&M. Hitting .320 coming into this game. And bunts again third base side. That moves the runner over, forcing Longoria to make that play. Man at third with one out. And time again to check in with Todd Callis.
Dwayne, tomorrow's going to be a big day here in Cleveland. They're expecting anywhere from 700,000 to 1 million people downtown. It's a parade for the Cavaliers starting right across the way at the Quicken Loans Arena, going through the city, and then they're going to have what they think is going to be close to a sellout here tonight because they're discounting the tickets upstairs. It's going to be a mob scene downtown. Speaking of basketball, guys, we got Chamberlain Chiefs right here, the high school basketball team. Christopher Snyder, their head coach, brought them out here to play a few tournaments, to go to the farms, bale a little hay, milk some cows, and watch some Rays baseball in their Rays shirts. Back to you.
That's a full. Oh, what a shot down to third, and a play by Longoria on that ball hit by Santana. Outstanding play. Everybody close on that infield, and Longoria, the hot corner, gets a little hotter in this situation.
Absolutely zero time to react. I mean, it is all instinct. Ball off the bat, you just trust your body to get into the right spot because you were close and that ball's ripped. And look at that. Glove side down. Well, that's why you win gold gloves. You have instincts like that. You have hand-eye coordination like that. Special player.
Yeah, you stick a star on that play, boy. Quick reflexes to come up with that. Kipnis takes the pitch high for a ball. Kipnis got credit for a run batted in and scored the run on the line drive to center field that bounced over Jennings' head. And Kipnis circled the bases. A 2-0 count. Close there. 3-0. Kipnis' beard is a little shorter than it was prior to that last pitch.
Gonna have to even it out tonight on the other side.
Now he takes a strike. 3-1. Gomes blooped a double up the right field line, was bunted over to third, and then Santana hit a hot shot down to third against the drawn-in infield, and Longoria made a great play on that. Full count now with that foul ball. Kipnis draws the walk to set up men at first and third. A little over 70 pitches for Snell. He's been in good shape in that department tonight. 2 outs into the 5th. Over his first couple starts, he had averaged almost 22 pitches an inning. And a lot of that came from his last outing against Seattle. But he's been good with the pitch count tonight.
Well, he's been able to make the in-game, even in-at-bat adjustments. You know, you think about those couple of at-bats where he fell behind early with the heater, got back into the counts with the changeup and the curveball. So it's just been a series of adjustments and trying to keep this at a 2-run deficit. Getting a little help from your third baseman down there, too. Oh, and by the way, your left fielder.
Yep. Yeah, Motter, a major part of getting that play at the plate on Napoli. His hustle got it overturned, actually. Lindor shortens on the bat, takes the pitch for a ball. Lindor hit a shot to first, caught by Morrison in the first inning, and then he hit a fly ball to right in the third. The fly ball into center. Jennings waiting for that one to come down, making the catch. 2 men left. We're through 5. 2-0 Cleveland. Tonight, the Cy Young Award winner in 2014. He's been good.
He has been good. There have been some times here and there he hasn't been as sharp as we normally see him, but he's been coming back, making big pitches when he's needed to, and he's gone 5 shutout innings on just 1 hit. This was the big one here. The hanging breaking ball, it gets away from Desmond Jennings, and then heading back to get it while Jason Kipnis is busting it around the bases. And what should have been a 1-run deficit turns out to be a 2-run deficit. And that's where we sit right now.
Yeah, Kipnis got a base hit and a run batted in and a 3-base error charged to Jennings. There's Hank Conger. Conger walked his first time, takes a strike this time. Now 1-1. Inside. So it's 2 balls and a strike. Conger hitting .212 after getting off to a very slow start at the plate. He's 9 for his last 26 now. Spread over 11 games, 10 of those starts. Lifts a high fly ball into right, and Chisenhall not quite to the track. Makes the catch. 1 gone in the 6th. And we go back around to the top of the order for Logan Forsythe. Logan 0 for 2. A couple of strikeouts. Pitch strike. This one headed to Kipnis. And a ground ball. Forsythe is out number 2. Duke Energy proud to support the Rays and Tampa Bay area veterans. For every game the Rays win, Duke Energy donates $1,000 to area agencies working in support of our veterans. Duke Energy powering Florida with more than just energy, supporting our veterans and local charities. Ten in a row retired by Kluber. Brad Miller in there against him. The pitch is a strike. Miller homered in the 6th inning last night. Two, 1 home run tracker. Had that one at 461 feet.
I think that was the accurate home run tracker because that ball was demolished.
Yep. He's averaged 423 feet in his home runs, 9 home runs this year, and the average is 423. This one down and in, and he's out on strikes as the pitch broke into the dirt. So Miller strikes out. We go to the bottom of the 6th, 2-0 Cleveland. Of the 6th, our greater coverage of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. Take a look at the American League All-Star balloting, and Mookie Betts has joined Jackie Bradley Jr. and a couple of other Red Sox teammates, Xander Bogaerts and David Ortiz. Betts is now, I think he's 4th in the league in total bases leading up to the All-Star game, July 12th on Fox. High popper. And out from shortstop into short left field. Miller makes that play right in front of Mauter to retire Napoli. That's a pop to the shortstop, caught in left field.
Yeah, Well, you know, Mike Napoli was going for it there. Looking for a fastball, got a fastball, was trying to hit that ball off the scoreboard out there in left field, and you get it skied that high, and at least it was caught.
Here's Jose Ramirez taking a strike. One. Right side, that's going to go through. Rays had the shift on, and Ramirez taking advantage of that right side.
Oh, got that pitch away and knows that he's got an open right side. That's just smart hitting by Jose Ramirez. And Blake Snell, you know, listen, it's been a mixed bag. He's had some moments where the fastball command has been elusive. He's used the off speed to get back into it. Made a nice play on that throw to second base. A good changeup there to Jose Ramirez. We've seen a couple of those curveballs that are just absolutely filthy. I mean, the stuff is incredible. He's got some help from his defense, and he's kept the Rays in this game here into the bottom of the sixth, doing his job.
On Uribe at the plate with Ramirez at first. Ramirez 7 of 10 in the running game this year. He's been an important part of this Cleveland ball club. And a move over there. Snell keeping his eye on Ramirez with Juan Uribe, the hitter.
Yeah, wasn't it a couple of years ago? At the end of the year, the Rays had a series here in Cleveland. I think at the end of the year, in September, Jose Ramirez got a lot of playing time that series and really impressed us.
Well, he started last year as their shortstop, and then had a little time in AAA, and then came back and turned out to be a guy who could play all over the place. He's in left field tonight. Ramirez on base for the first time, hitting in front of Uribe. One on with one out. Runner goes. The pitch chopped by the mound. Miller cannot come up with it cleanly, and everybody's going to be safe. He tried to scoop it and could not make the pickup on it.
Well, you were wondering, was he going to get there in time to catch it clean, or was it going to take one extra bounce? And I think he gets caught in between. Right here, can he get there in time? Oh, and it just barely hits the grass and the edge of the glove almost simultaneously, and it never got into that glove.
That'll be his 10th error of the year. Set up men at first and second. For the Rays, their second error tonight. Ronnie Chisenhall. 1 for 2. He had the base hit to left in the fourth. Takes that pitch too high, says Barksdale. Well, Chisenhall hit that ball to left his first time, and a left-handed hitter tends to give a little bit with Snell on the mound. Count 2-0. Miller, the shortstop, towards second base, trying to keep Ramirez as close to the bag as he can, and that opens a big spot on the left side, and that's where Chisenhall hit the ball in the fourth inning. Well, it's 3-0 now. Takes a strike. 3-1. Gomes on deck. And a line drive over the head of Miller into center. The run will score. And now it's 3-0. Chisenhall hit it to the left side of the infield, but over Miller's head and toward left center.
Boy, solid contact going up the middle the other way, and the Cleveland Indians being very aggressive here in sending Ramirez. This ball gets out to Desmond Jennings so quick. Look where Ramirez is. He wasn't even to third base yet, and still sends him and still scores with ease.
Jim Hickey to the mound. Three runs, 7 hits. Yan Gomes, who's 2 for 2 tonight. Gomes had the bloop doubled up the right field line in the 5th. Dropped a single into right in the 3rd and scored. Batting with 2 men on. Pitch is low. That's a shot caught by Forsythe. What a grab. And they're going to get the double play. Forsythe, what a catch by Logan Forsythe. Turning around and reaching up at the same time to grab that line drive. And then getting the double play with Uribe off second base. Forsythe to Miller. We're through 6, 3-0. Facing Corey Kluber. Follow Rays Baseball live at the MLB.com at Bat App. Stay up to the moment at any moment with Game Day. Live game video highlights, StatCast, news, and more Download MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablet. Evan Longoria to lead off the 7th. The Rays have been held to 1 hit and 1 walk. Evan called out on strikes in a somewhat disputed call in the 4th. He takes the pitch high. Evan with 18 home runs this year, 9 in June, to tie Jose Canseco's mark set in 1999. Chisenhall in right field under this one, and Evan is the first out here in the 7th inning. That's 12 in a row retired by Kluber at the end of 6. He had gotten 18 outs, 9 ground balls, and 6 strikeouts, accounting for 15 of the 18 outs, and now the pop fly to right by Longoria.
And all starting after that walk to Conger. The 4-pitch walk to the 9-hole, and it lit something inside of Corey Kluber, and the Rays have had no answer.
Morgan Morrison. Pitch is upstairs.
He's done a nice job of playing the traditional fastball off of the cutter and elevating. Something we don't see him do a ton of, at least not we've seen him against the Rays, but he's elevated quite effectively here tonight.
1-1 with Morrison. Only hit the Rays have came in the 2nd inning. Corey Dickerson singled into right. Now it's 1-2. Roller foul. Morrison 0 for 4 last night, and looking for his first hit tonight. He did reach when he struck out and reached on a pass ball back in the 2nd inning. We'll see another pitch, fouling that one away. Rays and the Indians tomorrow night. Chris Archer opposes Trevor Bauer tomorrow. And Morrison out on a pitch in the dirt. And down to first. Gomes to Napoli. Strikeout number 7 for Kluber.
Well, what we've seen from Corey Kluber is the guy get better and better and better as the game has moved on. More sharpness to his pitches, working the fastball and the cutter, elevating them effectively, then dropping that hard curveball down in the zone. We saw it right there with Brad Miller. We just saw it in the most recent at-bat with Logan Morrison. A fastball up, he's able to fight and foul off, come right back with the hard breaking ball down, working the entire zone and doing it well.
It's strike 1 to Jennings. Jennings struck out swinging in the 2nd inning. Got him on a cutter that just moved right away from him.
It's been a very, very good pitch for him. And, you know, this is the type of outing that you were nervous about coming in. You look at the last start, you go, ooh, 5 innings, 9 hits, 8 earned runs. It could be 2 in a row like that. Or are you going to get a guy who's got tremendous stuff and he is at home and not going to let that happen again? And that's what the Rays have gotten.
Ahead of Jennings, 1-2.
And this team has been playing great at home. The starting staff, the bullpen, the offense, everything better, everything shining right here in Cleveland.
Jennings checked just in the nick of time, 2-2. There's Ted Barrett down there on the call. it back. This continues to be a difficult venue for the Rays, especially with the starting pitching the Indians can throw at you. Well, the full count. Corey Dickerson, who has the only hit, is on deck. And Jennings draws a walk that snaps the string at 13 in a row, retired by Kluber. The Indians, with this dominant starting staff they have, last year the staff had 10 separate occasions when they had a no-hitter through 5 innings. 10 for the staff.
It is a power shutdown, strike you out, wipe you out staff. There's no doubt about it. The ability to dominate any given night. And that's what's led their resurgence.
Corey Dickerson takes the pitch down. One and one. Rays with 1 hit. They've drawn 2 walks and had a man reach on a strikeout and a pass ball. Vinny Romero up in the Rays bullpen. Dickerson up there with a new bat this time. 1 and 2. He broke his bat, grounding out to second in the 5th.
He's on one of those cutters. We talked about the fact that Corey Kluber, for the most part, uses that cutter as a swing and a miss type pitch. Against the lefties, he's trying to jam him with that. And he did that, cost Corey Dickerson a bat.
Time. Jones, the catcher, asking for time, granted by Lance Barksdale.
Well, this is where, if you're Corey Dickerson, a left-handed hitter, you're thinking, where is Corey Kluber going to go next? We've seen him try to go up and away here. We've seen the breaking ball down and in. We've seen the cutter in at the hands. And in a 1-2 count, he could go in any direction.
And he gets strike 3 call. The pitch away. Rays leave 1, trail 3-0. 1 in front in the middle of the 7th inning. Blake Snell has worked 6 for the Rays, surrendering 3 runs, 2 earned, a couple of strikeouts, 2 walks for the 23-year-old lefty. Corey Kluber has been excellent for Cleveland, giving the Rays just 1 hit. We go to the bottom of the 7th, and the first pitch from Snell misses. 1 ball, no strikes. Tyler Naquin up there. Left-handed hitter. Naquin twice has bunted. A couple of sacrifices. Young man out of Spring, Texas. Originally drafted by the Orioles, did not sign, and 3 years later the Indians drafted him and he signed. He's done a nice job at the plate, and they really like his defensive work in the outfield. A very good arm. And he's ahead of Snell, 3-0. There's a strike from Blake. 3-1. Snell a little over 90 pitches right now. He threw 92 Thursday against Seattle. And ball 4, he slipped as he delivered that one and gives up the leadoff walk.
Well, a lot of the fastball, most of the fastball misses by Blake Snell have been up above the zone. Pretty much the norm for him. You're gonna miss, you're gonna miss up. You combine that with a slip and it's way up. Leadoff base runner in a game where you can ill afford to give up another run. Tough enough to score 3.
Now Carlos Santana. Big cut by Santana. Strike 1. Gets the strike there. 0-2. Cleveland with base runners in every inning except the first. One and 2. Blocked by Conger. There's the curveball. Naquin drawing the walk, the runner at first. Snell has been out in the stretch a lot tonight. And that pitch pretty close right there, and he didn't get the call.
No, and that's a good pitch. That's a very good pitch. A good changeup down in the zone. Nothing wrong with that. Right at the kneecaps.
Cut and a miss. Santana out on strikes.
Now Carlos Santana knows that that previous pitch was close. Okay, fortunate enough to get the call. So Blake Snell comes back with another one in the same spot, and this time he goes after it and he comes up empty.
Well, here's Jason Kipnis. Kipnis with a hit and a walk tonight. Upstairs with a fastball. Kipnis struck out swinging on a fastball in the first. 3 strikeouts in the game for Snell. This one is down. Well, that 1-2-3 first for Snell, then the Indians put the leadoff man on in the second. So he's working out of the stretch. They put the leadoff man aboard in the third, leadoff man on in the fourth, leadoff man on in the fifth, and now the leadoff man aboard in the 7th inning, 1 on, 1 out. Two balls and a strike. Takes off the pitch high and a double pump and no throw. Naquin is in with a steal.
Well, we know that Naquin can run. Hank Conger, you wonder if he had a hold of this baseball, and maybe not, kind of fumbling around with it, never able to get that throw off.
Three and one. 3-2. Cutting a miss. Snell with that strike to ball ratio. He was in the low 50s when he hit the 100 mark. So still not the ratio you'd like to be in that 63 area, somewhere in there, and he was closer to 53. High popper, foul ball right side. Morrison runs out of room, so he'll make another 3-2 pitch on Kipnis. Two again. Into left toward the line. That ball is a foul ball, just foul. Angel Hernandez down there on the call. That was big trouble had it been fair.
Cannot afford another run here, and that's how close it was. 1.5 feet maybe. That ball slicing just enough into the corner.
Snell over 100 pitches. He made 92 against Seattle, 90 against New York back in April. Ground ball right side, picked up by Forsythe, who makes the play. Naquin goes over to third. So 2 outs in the 7th inning. And the Rays are going to make a pitching change here. That's going to be it for Snell. He worked 6 2/3. Back with a new pitcher in a moment. Dodge. Visit your local dealer today. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by your Southern Chevy dealer. Blake Snell finished for the evening. He leaves with a man on. So far, he's been charged with 3 runs, 2 earned, 104 pitches, 6 2/3.
Well, he kept his team in the ball game. You know, got deep into the 7th inning. He made adjustments when he needed to. We saw, you know, not always helped out by his defense. Other times helped out a lot by his defense. You think about the plays of Evan Longoria and Taylor Motter. But Blake Snell, listen, he's going up against Corey Kluber, who's looking to bounce back from a rough outing, and he's pitched deep into the game and given his team a chance. All he can ask for.
There's strike 1 from Eddie Romero as he faces Lindor, Francisco Lindor. Getting on for the 26th time. High popper right side. Forsythe out. Decker still coming in, and Decker makes the catch, retiring the side. Headed on to the 8th. 3-0 Cleveland. And the Indians move on to the 8th inning. Cleveland with a 3-run lead. Taylor Motter is going to open the 8th here against Corey Kluber. 94 pitches for Kluber. And he begins the 8th, missing on the first one to Motter. 1-0. Strike now 1-1. The Rays have not advanced a base runner beyond first. Morrison was the first runner. Steve Geltz up in the bullpen. Logan Morrison reached on a pass ball after striking out in the 2nd. Dickerson singled in that inning. Morrison had been retired by that time on a caught stealing. Conger walked, was left at first in the 3rd. Jennings walked and was left at first in the 7th. 2-2. It's been a, when you look at it that way, a dominating performance by Kluber. 8 strikeouts. There's a ground ball. Uribe from 3rd throws out Motter. Wrap-up game of the series tomorrow with Chris Archer on the mound, and we'll hear from him tomorrow on Rays Live, the pregame show presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. And Orestes will break down the veteran outfielder Rajay Davis, and you don't want to miss that. It'll be Archer against Bauer tomorrow. There's Rajay Davis, 35 years old, and a big part of the Cleveland Indians' success story to this point.
And still ready to go. Ready to be called upon. Those batting gloves locked in.
You know, for him, that's like when you played and you had your running shoes on. You were always ready to pinch run when you were active. He's got his batting gloves on, always ready at a moment's notice.
You never know what he'll be called on to do.
Yeah.
They can pinch hit, pinch run, defense.
Yep. The ball stays fair. Napoli steps on the bag. 11 ground ball outs now.
You know, go back through this ball game and try to remember a hard hit ball off Corey Kluber. Even the hit by Corey Dickerson was a cutter that got in on him, that he punched out into right field, but it wasn't necessarily ripped into right field. I'm not coming up with it.
Me neither. Just looking at the whole score sheet here. Now Hank Conger. Conger has walked and lifted a fly ball into short right center, caught by Chisenhall. This one up the right side, foul, breaks his bat, the ball out of play. And right into a group of Rays fans down there with shirts and all. That's from Chamberlain High. Todd was down there a few innings ago, and so there's a souvenir courtesy of Hank Conger, who broke his bat in the process, gave up his game bat there to distribute a souvenir, and has a new bat in hand. Two outs, bases empty. 1-2. Conger's out on strikes. 3 up, 3 down. Go the Rays. Bottom of the 8th inning coming up. 3-0 Cleveland. Sports Sun brought to you by Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. By Dodge, visit your local dealer today. And by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Rays in Cleveland. First stop on a two-city road trip. We'll be back tomorrow night. Chris Archer against Trevor Bauer. Our coverage begins at 6:30. In the meantime, Steve Geltz will get the call here to work the bottom of the 8th inning.
He comes on for the 20th time, 17 2/3 innings of work with 14 strikeouts and a .212 opponent's average.
Mike Napoli, the first hitter to face him, and sends it into right field. Drops it in there over the right side of the infield, so the Rays with the shift on, and Napoli takes it into right.
Able to get his arms extended, and I think that bat broke, but strong enough to drop it out into right field. Another leadoff man aboard for the Indians.
Jose Ramirez will be up here.
Yeah, ball right off the end of the bat. That ball's off the plate.
6 of the 8 innings the Indians have put the leadoff man on.
It's a tough way to pitch, and Blake Snell out there for the majority of that, and he certainly had to battle. But you get into the 7th inning and you've given up just 3 runs. You know, put yourself in a position to keep the game close, keep your team in it. The problem is Corey Kluber has been that good on the other side, so good you can't come up with a hard hit ball by a Rays hitter.
2-0. Well, Kluber is retired 17 of the last 18 men he has faced. And that broken up on a 2-out walk to Jennings in the 7th inning. The only hit the Rays have, a 2nd inning base hit by Dickerson. Well, Ramirez up in the count, 3-0. Ramirez scored the 3rd run of the game for the Indians in the 6th inning. That began with a 1-out single, eventually singled home by Chisenhall. A little piece of that one to take the count full. Runner goes, 3-2, shot deep to right. That ball will carry out of here. 3-2 pitch, and Ramirez belts a 2-run home run. Geltz touch for a single and a homer, and that makes it 5-0.
Well, the Rays pitching staff so fond of the elevated fastball, and that one there just didn't have the life on it needed to get over the bat of Jose Ramirez, and he timed it up and drove it out of here. And this game, well, now you're in big trouble.
The pitch to Uribe is high. 1-0. Well, the Indians scored 3 in the bottom of the 8th to decide the game last night. They have 2 in the bottom of the 8th tonight. This one on the 2-run home run. They put some distance here between these two clubs to make it a 5-run game. 2 balls and a strike. And another one. Deep to left, down the line, and that one is gone. Uribe, part of the 3-run 8th last night with a home run, makes it a 3-run 8th tonight with a home run. Juan Uribe's 6th homer of the year, and it's 6-0 Cleveland.
Got a breaking ball that stayed up and it stayed flat, and he was able to keep it fair. You see that breaking ball just had nothing, didn't have that sharp movement. You know, when you see Steve Geltz with the breaking ball that doesn't have the sharp bite, the fastball that's elevated that doesn't have that late jump, that late life at the end, it reminds you of what we were talking about earlier about with Erasmo Ramirez.
Yep.
You know, the gun readings may be the same, maybe down a mile an hour, but the life on the pitch, it just kind of gets there. It doesn't jump there, and these guys aren't missing them anymore.
Yep. No life on the fastball, no bite on the breaking ball.
That's a deadly combo.
2 strikes now to Chisenhall. Line drive, and it's caught by Forsythe for the first out. Well, here's Yan Gomes. He's 2 for 3. Gomes a single and a double lined into a double play in the 6th inning. First pitch is a strike. Well, Juan Uribe, who hit the home run to center field, and that was a monstrous home run last night, hits one out to left tonight. He's homered in 4 straight games for Cleveland. One and one. Foul ball that catches Conger. Take a look at this. Off the mask and the shoulder. Lance Barksdale doing a little housekeeping to give Conger an opportunity to reclaim himself.
That's a kinship there. Umpires and catchers understanding getting whacked in the mask, not a fun thing.
There's a swing and a miss. Yan Gomes out on strikes. 2 gone. Two outs, bases empty. Bottom of the 8th. Archer and Bauer tomorrow. Will be with you at 6:30 in the wrap-up game of the series here in Cleveland. Chris Archer will be looking for his 5th win. No ball, no strikes. Tyler Naquin walked, stole a base in the 7th. Has put down a couple of sacrifice bunts, and the count is now 1-1. Ball 2, 2-1. Now 2 balls, 2 strikes. Naquin getting his first taste of Major League experience here this year. Divided last year between AA and AAA. And is out on strikes. So a couple of strikeouts to end the inning, but 2 home runs at the top. It's a 3-run 8. 2-run home run by Jose Ramirez. And Juan Uribe with a home run down the left field line. It's 6-0 Cleveland.
Corey Kluber has been absolutely fantastic. You were afraid of an outing like this coming off of his last one. He gives up the 1 hit there to Corey Dickerson, but that would be about it. He's been good up in the zone. He's been good down in the zone. He's been good with the heater, the cutter, the hard breaking ball. He's had it all working and has been just completely dominant. Right now, just 8 innings of shutout, 1 hit baseball, looking to close it out here.
Well, the Rays have been shut out 3 times this year. Once already by the Indians. And the first pitch in the 9th inning to Logan Forsythe is a strike. Ramirez now at third. Martinez in the game in left. This one is down 1-1. Back on the 14th of April. At the Trop, a combination shutout. That was Salazar, McAllister, Shaw, and Bauer. Limited the Rays to 5 hits in a 6-0 shutout. Well, it's 6-0 right now, and the Rays have had only 1 hit. Chris Sale shut out the Rays on 2 hits, 1-0 on April 15th. There's a liner, and it's caught by Lindor, and that's the first out in the 9th.
But guess what? We have our first hard hit ball by the Rays tonight.
A line drive, finally.
Yeah, I mean, really, this is really, that's the apex of contact. That's how good Kluber has been at missing barrels and getting strikeouts.
And here's Brad Miller. Still no one has advanced beyond first base for the Rays tonight. It's been that dominating of a performance. Ground ball headed up the middle. There's a base hit. And the Rays pick up hit number 2. Well, they had a base hit in the 2nd from Dickerson, and now their 2nd hit of the night, a 1-out single in the 9th off the bat of Brad Miller. Kluber had retired 18 of the last 19 before giving up the base hit to Miller to get Evan Longoria to the plate. Zach Greinke shut out the Rays on 3 hits in Arizona, 5-0. That was on the 7th of this month, exactly 2 weeks ago. And a liner up the middle, base hit into center, and Longoria's aboard. So Miller stops at second. Back-to-back singles here in the 9th inning for the Rays against Kluber.
Right off the end of the bat, but well placed. Nice attempt there by Kipnis to get to that ball that close.
It will be Logan Morrison, 0 for 3 tonight, up here with 2 men on and 1 out. Morrison's last hit was a home run in the 4th inning Saturday in the San Francisco series. Strike 1. So right now Logan 0 for 12, trying to snap that and get the Rays on the board. Rays for the first time have a man at second. Fly ball into center. Naquin is there. So 2 outs in the 9th. Kluber, who has 2 complete games this year, 1 out away from his 3rd complete game. And Desmond Jennings will be the hitter. Kluber after his 10th career complete game. Jennings walked into 7th. He has struck out and grounded out. And takes a strike on the outside corner. Forsythe opened the inning with a line drive out. Miller single, then Longoria single. Morrison fly ball to center. 0-1 to count. Ground ball chopped towards short. Lindor gloves and throws, and this game is over. It's a 6-0 shutout. The Rays come up with 2 hits in the 9th, do not score, leave 2. And Corey Kluber goes the distance and picks up the shutout, a 3-hitter. 6-10-0 for Cleveland, 6 left, 0-3-2, 5 left for the Rays. Kluber now 7-7, Snell 0-2, 2 hours and 36 minutes to play it. Brian Anderson, Todd Callis, and the rest of our crew, Dwayne Stamps. Hope you've enjoyed the telecast and not the outcome. Rays Live, the postgame, presented by Checkers, comes your way next.